I changed platforms. So I'm going to upload this video because the Prime Minister, who was actually watching the last video, omitted to tell me that the video quality is absolute Scheisenhausen. So I'm going to upload this one as a part 2. So what I've had the biltong salted for just over an hour, and you can see it's changed color. And I don't know if you can see, but there is liquid underneath there. So what I'm going to do now is I'm actually just going to rub the biltong over on these cross sections here, and what that'll do is that'll actually get rid of most of the salt, the coarse salt. Just making sure the hands are sort of cleanish, because the next process will actually get rid of a lot. So what I like to do is I like to make one container available. So I'm going to put all of these ones into here, trying to get rid of as much of the salt as possible. On this, I'll then put the salt, get rid of the salt, and I'll use this container to put the wet mix in, and that will seal the meat from any little bad things, and then we can basically start the curing process as that liquid hits the meat. And then I'm not going to soak it. There are different ways of doing this. Once again, there's a lot of different ways of doing anything. I have soaked it overnight. Some people, well, this is a real thick piece. There's different ways of doing it. Some people do soak overnight, but I find, as I've said before, the simplest thing works, and that's the tastiest. But once you get the basics down pat, you can basically do whatever you want. Just give anything a go. So as I've said before, I can feel it quite oily or greasy on my hands. That is because of the Wagyu, and it does, for some reason, I don't know why, but it doesn't actually translate to when you transfer to when you're actually eating the biltong. It's not all greasy and thick and oily, and I remember eating biltong, and sorry, that's just some coarse salt stuck in my foot. Back in South Africa, the biltong that they have, this oily layer sticks to the top of your mouth, which I'm not really a fan of. The other thing the Prime Minister said to me was, what's sieve? What's sieve? So when I was saying you sieve the coarse salt to get rid of the thing, this is it. Sifter, sieve, same thing. Put it in, you sieve it. As she said, you sift it. Doesn't matter. You get rid of the fine particles, you end up with the coarse stuff. Okay? So we will just give this a bit of a shake up. So this is the mixture of 400 mils brown vinegar, 100 mils Worcester. I put a little bit more Worcester sauce in because it gives it more of a barbecue type flavor. Now what I used to actually do is I used to get rid of the rock salt, pat it off with paper towel, and then use this and spray it on. But every time I use the spray, because there's little granules from the Worcester sauce, every time I use the spray, it would clog it up, and it did take quite a bit of time. So once I've got all of this here, I'll just soak it in, and while you do that, any pieces of rock salt that you've missed fall off, and you can see them, they'll fall off into this over here. So I'll soak this baby up. Once you start doing that, you will see that it starts, the color of the meat starts to change. So it starts going brownish, where it soaks in the Worcester, in the wet mix, whatever wet mix you use. But you'll see that the vinegar starts doing its job and starts actually discoloring the meat. So I do give it a little bit of a poke that allows the meat to soak a bit. Oh, this is a beautiful piece. Look at that. Look at that marbling on that. That is going to be a good one. But it's all going to be good. It just shows the marbling perfectly. What marble number it is, I wouldn't have a clue. But at $20 can't be that good. But it still comes out fantastic. My uncle owns a butchery down at Rushcutters Bay called Handler's Meats, and I'm going to try and get a piece of Wagyu, the best that he can put his hands on at some stage, just to see if there's any real difference. It would be interesting to see, because some of this Wagyu can really get up there in price. So it'd be interesting just to see, maybe one day I'll make just standard topside that I get the Wagyu from Woolworths, not that expensive stuff, the stuff that I'm using at the moment, and then get some really expensive stuff and see what the price difference is there. So what I'm going to actually do is, I'm running out of space, so I'm going to use the lid to put this onto. Hopefully it's still clean. Just going to put that onto just so I can soak the rest of the stuff. And I'll just get rid of as much of the salt as possible. You can see the different colors in the beef there, where the salt has been doing its work. And then you can see on some of this meat over here where the wet has started doing its job. The wet mixture has started doing its job. It's starting to change color as well, exactly like we want it to. What I'll do is just get this baby soaked up. Here's another piece as well. You can see the marbling in that. Beautiful. Beautiful. So hopefully you're not all getting too bored at home in these times that we're in at the moment. Everyone's had obviously the shout out to all the medical staff that are helping everyone out in the community, but the Prime Minister in the House is actually a teacher, and I've seen her working firsthand, and I gotta say, it's very impressive, and I gotta take my hat off to the teachers that are out there teaching kids from home over the internet, and that it's not an easy thing, and these guys are absolutely dedicated to the cause of educating your kids for the future. And just a big shout out to all the teachers that are out there. Fantastic job that you're doing. If you haven't been told already, well done. It's fantastic work. We're still on holidays for another, well, not we, the kids are still on holidays for another week, I think, and then I think they're going back to online learning again. I don't know if they're going back to school. The school is open, obviously, for the essential workers' children's. But I got to say, the schooling from home has surprisingly been quite easy. The kids seem to stick to it. I don't know about everyone else's kids, but my kids are very strict in the process that they do. I think back in our days, we would have been out in the back lawn playing cricket, soccer, footy, whatever, and not sticking to the schoolwork that the kids of these days do. And the moving online thing is, I think everyone knows that all the kids these days, they get it pretty quick. So there hasn't really been an issue with that. But yeah, and then also take my hat off to, and a big thanks to the medical people that are out there. I do quite a bit of 3D printing as well, and while the 3D printer is not actually doing anything, I am printing face shield holders for the medical staff, and sending them over to the hospitals for them to use, because I have been told that there is a shortage, and this is something that's very simple, and if anyone does have a 3D printer that's sitting at home doing nothing, I'd highly recommend getting. There are 100 sites online where you can get these files from to download to print these face mask holders, these face shield holders. If your printer's sitting at home doing nothing, get on board. Just if anything, just go drop them down at your local medical center. It's for the frontline people. Any bit helps. So what I'm going to do is, there's quite a bit of salt that's come off here. I'm just going to get rid of that into there. Pop in all the rest of this over here. Pop this back in and just let it soak for maybe 10 or 15 minutes. I'll put in all these little pieces in here. There's a big piece there, and all of these, and just let it draw through on the one side, and then I might make up another batch of this stuff. If I don't use it, I can always have it there. So we'll just pop that on there. I'll just make up a quick batch of this stuff. The Prime Minister's favorite measuring container. $400 mils of that stuff. Yeah, the whole video link thing, it's the live. If you're on your own, you don't quite know what the quality is like on the other side. So I'll probably, anything I do from now on will probably not be live. So I can edit and take out stuff and add comments before it all goes out. And then if anyone has any comments, I will just add it. I'll reply to their comments later on. Let's just get this one. So I've got 200 mils there. I do like it a little bit more, so I'll put in 100 mils. So for the 800 mils I've got there, I'll put 300 mils, 150 instead of what I've normally got. Hopefully it's going to fit into this container. Just, maybe not. So I give it a little bit of a shake up. Put it into this one, not all of it, obviously. And we'll just, and then pop this one back in. Let this one soak a bit on either side. Oh, there's some big pieces here. I'm going to have to go check my Biltong box to see if it's going to fit lengthwise for these ones. So already on this piece over here, there's still liquid coming out of the meat, because the liquid that's left here is quite opaque, which means there's still liquid coming out of the meat, which is fine. It's not a big issue. So I'll just leave those ones. You don't really have to cover it because the flies won't go near the vinegar if there are flies. Right, to be safe, I'll just pop that down like that, and I'll let that sit for 10 or 15 minutes, and then I'll come back after 10 or 15 minutes. Luckily with this one, I can pause this video and come back later.